So I can't help but think that I forgot something heading out of the last episode that I still honestly don't understand how I managed to overthink. Let's get right down to business and take a look at the results of the draft. It was one hell of a cliffhanger that was not intentional. For the record, as far as what to do with the budget, as far as like, oh, you have to assign it, I see no button aside from, the purchase button as far as what to do with the bank. So let me know what the hell I'm doing wrong there still. Let's take a look at the results of the draft. Jose Cardenas, 20 years old, 69 overall, 89 B potential. Chet Hines, 18 years old, a 62 with 83 B potential. Then we have a couple of C's. Daniel Diaz, 59 overall, 20 years old. Ray Woodall's looking pretty good, though. 73 overall at 18 years old. And Guillermo Cairo, 61 overall at 18 years old. Batista and Serrano, unfortunately, a bit of a swing and a miss. So getting back to the top, Jose Cardenas, or I can hit the wrong button, Jose Cardenas is great and will obviously be signed. Chet Hines has the potential to be pretty damn good and will be signed. Daniel Diaz at least provides a little bit more starting pitching depth. I'm sure we're going to be, continuing to see some players that we've had leave the club, so that's good. And Ray Woodall, also strong future for him, I'd imagine. One season, maybe two in the minors. And Guillermo Cairo will be signed as well. The other two, we're going to let go. I know Batista's a 70, but, it's not really going to work out for him. So we will let him go. As far as what happened around the league, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to quickly scroll through each team. If there was a player that you wanted me to check, let me know. Of course, there is that little bit of a disconnect having had the delay in checking this. I still, like I said, don't understand how I managed to just completely blank on double checking this. It's been a staple of every episode, but that is exactly what happened. The mustache also, shout out to David Ortiz. But yeah, if you see a player that you are interested in, let me know, and I'll either get to that at the start of the next episode, or I'll just let you know directly in the comments. So there's that, just so that we can focus on the task at hand, known as trying to make sure that this team gets to the playoffs, because the last episode wasn't exactly spectacular for us. We're 5.5 games back in the Central, despite being the second best team in the league by ranking. It's going to be interesting to see whether or not we can close the gap. For a majority of these players, we are going to give them until the All-Star break to try and make a difference and to prove that they're, worth their spot in the lineup, their spot in the rotation, the whole shebang. So we'll see what happens moving forward. Overall, though, still feeling good about the squad and our chances to have success this season. So let's see what we can do. We'll end the series against Arizona, and we take 2 out of 3 to move back to 500 on the season. 3 games against Pittsburgh, and we win 2 out of 3 again, so not a bad way to start. Now 1 game over. San Diego, 36-28 on the season. This could be a tough challenge, and Scott Clausen down in AAA goes down for 2 to 3 months. Can we get the win? We cannot. So a series loss to San Diego, and we're still struggling. I like how we just jumped right into this episode. Like I didn't make a gigantic mistake in the last one, but there's not much to hype up. It's just a matter of let's go. Let's see if we can rebound and get back to where we should be. We do take 2 out of 3 against the Cards, and this is a very big series. 3 games against Chicago, 42-29 for them. We need to close the gap. Losing that first game doesn't help. Losing the second game does not help either. 4 more games against San Diego. See if we can get anything going here. We'll just go auto on all of those. We split that series. 3 games against the struggling Marlins. We need a win here. Dave Miles down in AA picks up a slight knock. We do take 2 out of 3. We have another 3 games against Colorado as we head into July. Let's see what we can do. We can win that series. So as of July 1st, we sit at 43-41 on the season. 6 games back of the Cubs, 2 games out in the wild card. We are the top-rated team, apparently. And the pressure is certainly mounting for us to deliver. We have 2 weeks until the All-Star break, which is where we'll take another look at the roster and change things up if need be. We have 3 games against Arizona. They are 7 games under 500. I'd like to think that we could get the series win. We do, and we sweep them, which is huge, as the Phillies acquire an 88 overall first baseman, 26 years old. Goddamn, it's a good pickup for them. 3 games against Washington. We're at 37 and 50. This is another must-win series if we're going to make up ground, and we get swept. Great. 3 games against Atlanta. We have at least won the series, and we do take 2 out of 3. And it's another 4 games against the Cubs. They have 3 more wins than we do on the season. We need these wins here. We've taken 2 out of 3, and it's 3 out of 4. And for the first time in this series, we have a participant in the home run derby. Caught me off guard that I couldn't help but stutter, and it's exactly who you would expect. Good old Marlon Puh. Good old Marlon. So there we go. We are at 51 and 46 as of the All-Star break. We are currently 4 games back of the Pirates, who have rebounded in an extremely well fashion. We're a half game back in the wild card. We're right back in it. We are right back in it. So let's take a look at the league leaders first and foremost, at least for the NL. So anything over a 300 average is amazing. I mean, anything really, in general, batting averages are down across the league. Steven Ryder, though, in Philly. God, that just doesn't look right to see Steven Ryder there. I miss you, Steven. I miss you. So our highest rated player is Glenn Huff at a 278. So keep that in mind. Batting averages are a little bit lower this year, although Edwards is up there for doubles and triples. Home run leader in the NL, Marlon Pugh, which is huge for us. 27 home runs on the year. He also leads the NL and the MLB in general in RBIs. Graham Edwards is up there, tied for 3rd. Stolen bases, we have Huff, Lopez, and Edwards, all in the top 3. On base percentage, Bobby Bloom is up there. So again, anything closer to a .4, the better. Huff and Quinlan also up there. Slugging percentage, Marlon there at the 8th spot. I can't speak. That's okay. You're used to that. Marlon there at 7th. In terms of wins, I'm not as concerned. Will Vincent, though, tied for 3rd in saves. ERA, anything under a 3 is great. Anything under a 3 is great. Anything under a 4 is pretty good. So we'll keep that in mind. We will keep that in mind. That was the big thing that I wanted to check in terms of how everything's looking as we double check what's going on with the team. So pitching rotation, we did see Steve Carrasco at a 4.0, 7-4 record on the season. I'm good with that. Joe Bailey at a 3.31, which is tremendous. Only a 4-2 record, but it has to be because of the stamina and just him not getting into the later stages of a game. Manzanzillo at a 3.83, a 4-5 record. Winston Medina at a 3.03, so our starting pitching has been very impressive. And Domingo Trevino at a 4.08. Tremendous. Our rotation has absolutely done its job. I think we're going to bump up Winston Medina over Manzanzillo. And I think I want to get Medina a few more starts over Bailey. I do, yeah. Winston Medina's bumping up. I mean, Carrasco's still going to be the ace, but the rotation heading out of the All-Star break is going to be Medina, Bailey, Manzanzillo, and Domingo Trevino. I'm good with that. I don't really think we can go wrong. We have a fairly strong 5. Joseph Dye has been okay. I mean, 54 innings pitched as a long reliever is a good amount of work. Napoleon Gillis has been... he's been pretty good. Not really complaining. Chris Velez, the ERA is a bit high. Actually, in fairness, no, that's a joke. That's a joke. Sorry, I completely misread that. Chris Velez should be an all-star because he has been absolutely outrageous in a good way. Whereas Lincoln Post, the ERA is a bit high, but obviously it might be. The whip looking pretty damn good. Norman Garner's still not exactly where we'd want him to be. Bruce Boyle is killing it. Will Vincent is killing it. So I can't help but think I kind of want to move Chris Velez to the setup, but I'd prefer him to be able to be, well, not necessarily unplayable if we move him to a setup spot, but he has been absolutely tremendous. Norman Garner is really struggling right now. So, I think we're good with Boyle as the setup man and having Velez kind of just be the gem of that bullpen. But again, Gillis has been strong as well. And Will Vincent, 30 years old at this point, a 98 overall. Craziness. And as far as the minor leagues are concerned, Clyde Martin doing very well down in AAA. Could be a call-up option if we need him to be. You have someone like Chad Padilla doing quite well. Russell Zarate and Edwin Velasquez have all been solid and could be call-up options if we need them to be. Lineup-wise is where it could get interesting. Joe Quinlan, 7 home runs, 30 RBIs, and a 277 average. A 377 on base, so I'm still not against having him be leadoff. Brian Lopez, 11 home runs, 45 RBIs, and a 266 average. He is a legitimate 82 at this point. Some heavy regression for him, but a 345 on base. I'm good with him still being in the 2 spot, with us pretty much confirming Quinlan, Bloom, Edwards as the 1, 3, and 4, although with what Marlon's done this season, maybe not. Bobby Bloom, a legitimate 94 at this point. Only 11 home runs on the season, only 37 RBIs, but the batting average has bounced back up to a 271 and a 395 on base. If he turns things around, we're going to be playoff bound. Our success really does depend on Bobby Bloom. You have Graham Edwards, 13 home runs, 64 RBIs, and a 269 average, 355 on base, so I'm still good with Lopez being in the 2 spot because Edwards hasn't been that much better. But the big question is Marlon, who wants to be in that star role and has been phenomenal this season, 27 home runs already, 82 RBIs, 278 average, 365 on base, and a 533 slugging percentage. The problem, of course, is wanting Graham Edwards to be, in a positive morale state. We want him to be happy. That's what we want Graham Edwards to be. And he's not going to be overly happy in a 2 spot in the lineup, right? He's not going to dig that. But can't help but think Quinlan, Edwards, Bloom, Pugh, and Lopez would be the way to go and might be coming out of the All-Star break. That said, Archie May, 17 home runs, 42 RBIs, and a 265 average. Not exactly on the MVP caliber pace that he was last year. Henry Shipman, 2 home runs, 22 RBIs, and a 263 average. 352 on base. Glenn Huff, 6 home runs, 39 RBIs, and a 278 average. So I think we'll be bumping him up as well. On the bench, Richie McCauley's been okay, and he's been really good in limited appearances. Bryant K has also been solid, but certainly not good enough to replace anybody in the starting lineup. Francisco Jimenez has been great in limited action. Rincon's been okay, and Ramon Vasquez has actually been tremendously disappointing this year. So I think, as far as the team is concerned, it is going to be Quinlan, Edwards, Bloom, Pugh, Lopez, May, Huff, Shipman, and DH at this point, it's either going to be McCauley or it's going to be Jimenez. And it might be Jimenez against lefties and McCauley against righties. Maybe just to take advantage of that. I think it's going to be McCauley. I think it's going to be Richie McCauley that we give that opportunity to. Maybe we'll still go split duty. So, again, the quick change there. Let's swap Huff, drop down Shipman, and against righties, let's have it be Richie McCauley. Have him in the 8th spot. And against lefties again, make that switch there. Take out Vasquez. It will be Jimenez, who ends up being ahead of Shipman. So, as per usual, the debate's going to be who should be where. Of course, there's a lot of options that we have with this team, but I'm feeling good about our chances coming out of the All-Star break. Let's take a look for sure at who has made it outside of Marlon Pugh, of course. For pitchers, do we have anybody? Chris Velez is indeed an all-star, as you would hope. Will Vincent is an all-star as well. Will Vincent on a Hall of Fame pace? What do you think? What do you think? He might be. In terms of position players, Graham Edwards is all-star bound, which again, he's 27 at this point. I don't know if he's on a Hall of Fame pace, but he has been phenomenal for us. As we also have Marlin there, of course. Who else, if anybody? That is it. So still not bad for representatives this year, as the AL wins the All-Star game 6-0. We have a fairly big 3-game series here against the Cardinals directly after the break. We need wins here, as 2 Gustavos were traded for one another. We take 2 out of 3 against the Cards. Good stuff. 3 games against the Twins, who are 2 games under 500. We win that series after dropping the first game. 4 games against Miami. They are 21 games under. It's a must-win series. It has to be, and we do take 3 out of 4. We're now at 58-49 on the year. We have 2 games against Pittsburgh to end the month, and we split those games. So as of August 2nd, we currently sit in second place in the division, 4 games back of the Pirates, 4.5 games between us and the Cubs. We currently sit in the top wildcard spot in the NL. We are hot on the Pirates' tail at this point. Both teams 6-4 in the last 10. Let's see what we got. We might make changes at the start of September if need be. 3 games against a struggling Milwaukee club. We take 2 out of 3. 3 games against a struggling Giants team. We take 2 out of 3. We're doing what we have to do and being consistent enough to fight our way back. 4 games against the Dodgers. Let's see where we stand. 3 out of 4. 4 out of 4. Let's go. That is a massive statement for us to win 4 straight against the Dodgers. Huge. Huge for us. But still, 2.5 back of Pittsburgh. The Pirates continuing to win as well. 7-3 in their last 10. The Cubs are also still hot, but unfortunately for them, there's just that crazy amount of separation at the moment. 5 games is a relatively crazy amount. It's going to be a close race. That's all I can say. We need to keep this up. 2 games against Detroit. They're 5 games over 500. Abdul Elam is out for a week or 2. We win both games against Detroit, outscoring them 14-4 over the course of those 2 games. And that brings us to a very big series. You would have seen them up there, of course. Pittsburgh. 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 This is it. If we want to win this division, this is where it happens. 4 games against Pittsburgh. Soroka, Fitch, Reyes, and Irvin McNeil. Let's go. And we've lost the series. We lose 3 out of 4. 3 games against the Mets. We are in desperate need of victories. We do win the series, but losing 3 straight to Pittsburgh will come back to haunt us more than likely. They have 4.5 games of separation at this point. We have 3 games against the Cubs. If they want to battle back and stay up there for a wild card spot, they need to do very well in the series, and we swept them. Statement victory in that series. 3 games against the struggling Milwaukee Brewers. They take 2 out of 3, which is devastating. And 3 games against the Mets. As we head into September, we're going to win the series. We will not sweep them, though. So as of September 2nd, 78-59 are your Cincinnati Reds. We are currently 2.5 back of the Pirates, 10 games clear of the Cardinals, and 2.5 games clear in the wild card, currently sitting in that top wild card spot. So the pressure is on to still outperform everybody that we go up against. It's going to be very, very interesting. I'll give the AI auto control of September call-ups. Let's see what we can do. 3 games against St. Louis. The AAA ball club, the Bats, have one out. They make it to the wild card. The AA ball club, unfortunately, did not make it, as we get swept by St. Louis, and we might as well kiss that division title goodbye. I don't know if we can make up a 5-point gap at this point, unless Pittsburgh slips up, and that's been the worst part of this, is we talk about consistency, and then we lose that series that we can't afford to lose. 3 games against Philly. We split the first 2 and do win it. The Bats are moving on. They'll take on the Toledo Mud Hens, as we have 3 games against the Brewers. We do take 2 out of 3. And, I mean, all I can think of is this 4-game stretch against Pittsburgh. That's what it's going to come down to. Still a 5-game lead for the Pirates. 3 games here against the Cubs. We sweep them. And the Bats are moving on to the championship series against the Dodgers. So there you go. 3 games against Cleveland. We have a very similar record. And we take 2 out of 3. And there you go. The AAA ball club, the Bats, win it all. So our first taste of success in this series goes to the AAA team, despite some September call-ups as well. So that is huge, unless the call-ups were literally just made. Big news for us. But now our focus is we reset. We reacquire the target at hand. 3 games against the Cubs, and we lose that series. We are 3 games back of the Pirates. We have clinched a playoff spot that is a guarantee. We will be, at the very least, a wild card team. If we want to win the division, this is the series to do it. We could win this division, 4 games against Pittsburgh, 3 games against St. Louis to end the year. This is where it has to happen. This is where it has to happen. Here we go. Game 1 is a loss. Game 2 is a win. Game 3 is a loss. Game 4 is a win. And unless they slip up, the Pirates are going to win the division, which is very, very disappointing. We need to win out here against St. Louis. We win Game 1, we lose Game 2, and that's it. The Pirates will take the division. We slip up down the stretch. We are playoff bound at 92 and 70, but we'll be taking on the Padres in the first round. The winner of San Diego, that's it. The winner of this series against San Diego, or this 1-game playoff against San Diego, ends up playing Pittsburgh. Damn. I don't know how I feel about that. For us to finish 1 game back of the Pirates, we had numerous opportunities. I think it's just for the fact that they allowed more runs and scored less runs, yet they still won the division. We just got off to such a slow start. 92 games would have at least tied us for every other series or every other division, aside from the NL West against the Dodgers and the AL West against the actually not the AL West, the AL East against the Yankees. So we were still one of the top clubs in baseball. Unfortunately, we were in a series with another top team, and whether or not we have a date with said top team depends upon whether or not we are good enough to beat the Padres in a 1-game playoff. So in terms of batting average, again, it was about the same. We didn't have anybody up there, unfortunately. In terms of doubles, I mean, Edwards and Huff were both up there. Edwards led in triples. Home runs, though, Marlin hit 40. Archie May made it back to 29. So Marlon Pugh was second in the league in home runs. RBIs, Marlin was second with 113. Cody Bellinger, though, was out of this world. In terms of stolen bases, Glenn Huff tied for the league lead with 35, or at least the NL League. Technically the league lead. Edwards, Lopez, and Quinlan also up there. In terms of walks, Bobby Bloom, number 1. Marlin, Edwards, and Quinlan up there as well. Bloom led in on-base percentage, and that is about it. In terms of wins, you had Carrasco on the list. In terms of saves, Will Vincent had the 3rd most in baseball in the MLB with 53, which I believe that is indeed a career high for one Will Vincent. ERA, again, anything under a 3 was amazing. Anything under a 4 was very, very good. And that is about it. Carrasco, by the way, quite a few strikeouts. So let's take a look at the full picture here. Steve Carrasco, 13-6, a 3.47 ERA, a tremendous season for the legitimate ace. 91 overall, 91 overall, 94 due to potential. So Steve Carrasco is the beast we needed him to be. Winston Medina had a phenomenal season, an 11-10 record, but still a 3.42 ERA. I cannot talk, but I will for damn sure power my way through at this point. Medina was tremendous. You also had Joe Bailey, 9-4 record. He was tremendous. Thomas Manzanzillo, very strong season. Domingo Trevino, very strong season. Joseph Dye, all things considered, did pretty well as the long reliever. Napoleon Gillis was pretty good. Chris Velez was phenomenal. Lincoln Post was okay. Norman Garner ended up being okay by the end of the season. Bruce Boyle was phenomenal. And Will Vincent was pretty damn good. So there is certainly debate over how to set up the bullpen. At the very least, we have surprisingly more lefties than righties, but it is a pretty good setup for us right now. Clyde Martin, I'm not sure as far as call-ups. I think for the most part our roster is our roster, just due to how the playoffs went for the AAA club. A couple of different setup options we have there. In terms of the position players, Joe Quinlan, 17 home runs, 58 RBIs, a 264 average, and of course those 25 stolen bases. He is a legitimate 92 overall. You see the development there. So again, home runs, new career high. RBIs, not a new career high. First year it was actually better. Tied the stolen base career high as well. 264 average, which is nearly the lowest in his career. But a 365 on base salvages that, in my opinion. So decent. Good. Not great though. Is that fair? Maybe. Graham Edwards, 20 home runs, 86 RBIs, and a 253 average for the legitimate 94 overall. 20 home runs, 86 RBIs, again, both better than last year. Fewer stolen bases. The average dropped tremendously, though. So he just wasn't as efficient at the plate as we needed him to be. Bobby Bloom, admittedly a disappointing season for the 94 overall. 19 home runs. The RBIs ended up being higher, though. The stolen bases were higher. The average was higher. You know what? I was wrong. That's not a fair statement to make. Disappointing in terms of home runs, but everything else, he ended up turning it around. Again, had that very slow start, so well done, Bobby, to turn things around. Marlon Pugh, who, in fairness, has not won an award because of Cody Bellinger, which is unfortunate. Roberto Ramos, my God, the Angels are just so dominant. Dylan Cease wins the Cy Young, as does Brendan McKay. Jake Cortez and Joe Adell win batting titles. Jason Hager and Norge Ruiz, would it be? Win reliever of the year, rookie of the year, Enrique Lopez and Abraham Murillo. Hank Aaron award to Bellinger and Jake Cortez, just to check those. We didn't have any winners, though. So, Marlon, though, legitimate 90 overall. Power game develops so heavily. 40 home runs, 113 RBIs, 13 stolen bases, 260 average, 357 on base, just under a 500 slugging, and an 855 OPS. Brian Lopez, despite the regression down to an 82, still had a strong season. 22 home runs, 84 RBIs, 26 stolen bases, a 265 average, 341 on base, 443 slugging. Archie May, not exactly an MVP caliber season, but still did quite well and still improved. 29 home runs, 78 RBIs, 15 stolen bases, a 266 average, 345 on base. Glenn Huff, still a 79 at this point, 28-year-old, 11 home runs, 75 RBIs, which is a new career high, 35 stolen bases, and a 277 average. And Henry Shipman at catcher, the legitimate 79, the 27-year-old, 6 home runs, 48 RBIs, 10 stolen bases, a 276 average. On the bench, Richie McCauley, 3 home runs, 21 RBIs, and a 286 average for the Rule 5 pickup, who was looking like a pretty damn good choice at this point. Don't think there's any way we could debate him making it into the lineup for the playoffs, but he's certainly a strong option to have off the bench. Bryant K was also relatively strong, but based on the outfield, again, I don't think there's any way to argue him making it into the lineup. But 5 home runs, 35 RBIs, and a .253 average. He's an 81, currently down to a 77, due to being unhappy with his role. Francisco Jimenez, same thing. Don't think there's room to argue for him being in the lineup. 3 home runs, 17 RBIs, and a .290 average for the 26-year-old. We then go to Josh Rincon, which again, we probably go for Shipman over him, but Rincon probably a little bit better at the plate than you'd expect him to be, given those hitting stats. And Ramon Vasquez, who was very disappointing this year to not be the automatic go-to at DH. And whether or not he's in the lineup for the postseason, or at the very least our one game, I don't know. So that is your full look at what is going on with the club. Again, we have a one-game date with the San Diego Padres. It is very obvious that Steve Carrasco will be the man leading the way. The question is, what do we look to do lineup-wise? And I want to leave that up to you. Let me know what you think the rotation should be, first and foremost, in case we do make it to that series against the Pirates. What should the lineup be as well moving forward? We are back in the playoffs for the second year in a row. It was not quite our best season yet, but that's okay. We're in that time frame now where it's our chance to win. Will this be our year? Who knows? We had some struggles, but maybe we can put it all together here in the postseason. That'll do it for this one. I don't think I missed anything this time. Hopefully not. Next episode, wild card game against the Padres. If we win, we also go into the series against Pittsburgh. If we lose, depressingly, we go to a major offseason. Thank you guys for watching and supporting the series. You know the deal. Check out everything in the description. Support the video if you want to. It's your choice. Do what you want to do. Thank you for watching the series, though. And I'll see you in the next one, where hopefully we can win a game. Please.